Hi guys, happy Friday. It is hot and humid. It feels like Florida. And I've never been to Florida. So anyways, alright, yesterday was insane. That was really insane. So what really happened? This is what happened. Alright, so I used to be really good friends with this girl from California. And we were really, really good friends. We were really, really close. This is kind of when I was going, like, it was the end of the Kratom thing, and it was, like, messing with me. So we just, we talked and talked and talked all the time, and we established a really good friendship, and we were, like, best friends. And then I don't know what happened. It just kind of went downhill. We stopped talking. She informed her daughters, which I think her daughters, one of them I believe is a teenager. I think they're all teenagers. Two of them. I don't know how many she has. But I won't air out her dirty laundry because she'll air out my... You can air my dirty laundry all you want because I don't care. Because this channel is not suitable for children. And I do follow all of YouTube's standards and whatever their codes, their ethics, the community guidelines, all of it. So you do have to click, I agree that I am, to, go into my chat room. And then, she comes in under the guise of her daughter, and then I'm like, who the hell are you? And then that turned into me swearing, swearing and cussing at a child, which I would never do. I have the most respect for children. I love children. And I don't get that. So, and she asked me to be their godfather and, etc., so on and so forth. Because, I do love kids. All my friends, you can ask anybody. I mean, I don't have to prove anything to anybody. But yeah, that's just weird. It was really weird that she just popped up out of nowhere. But when you're doing good, people become turncoats. When you're successful and you're good at what you do, and these other people see that you're doing something, and they're like, oh, well, I'm gonna, try to get back into their life, and try to screw it up, and manipulate into the the extremes. So that's the whole story. I won't go into details on what she sent me because I'm just not like that. So, alright, Shaped in Forge. This is a really interesting one too, and this is about just like how we get built up as witches, and what really initiates us into our craft, and how we're forged through fire for the rebirth, and then we go into our craft and more of our journey. So this is just a little beautiful little excerpt, again, from Entity Without a Name. Lee Morgan, you're incredible. Love you. Alright, now, and this does have a little bit to do with familiars, so it just keeps popping up everywhere. Now here we go. So no, in most shamanic cultures, being made, it actually consists of an initial initiatory crisis. So there's always a crisis before your initiation, followed by some smaller remakings that may be slightly less terrifying. So literally, it's all the chaos and everything that's forging us as witches. Now, in many of the shamanic cultures closest to Europe, such as the Siberian and the Lop shamanic traditions, the remaking is seen as heating and shaping in a forge, with the figure of the smith having a power almost equal to that of the shaman. And the smith would be Cain, or, quote, quote, the devil. So, the horn god, Buka. Alright, so there is certainly some suggestion that this tradition extended into witchcraft, as there is a long tradition, particularly in Britain, between the devil and blacksmithing. There we have that. So, modern traditional witches have seized on this tradition, which I think is really good. With their large focus on the figures of Tubal-Cain or Azazel. So we have Azazel in the mix too. So this is, I love this. This is some of my background of what I have brought in personally, what I personally brought into my craft. Not traditional craft, but what I do. Now, as the god of the witches, Tubal-Cain or Azazel. Now, Tubal-Cain was actually the grandson of Cain, so, yeah. So, who are both associated with smithcraft. Now, unlike shamans and other, cultures, witches today function without a fully weaved cultural structure around us to hold us through this experience. It's because it's so scattered and it's not like it used to be. So most of us are lucky to have so much as a mentor to discuss our work with, and even that won't help you get to get time off work for your initiatory crisis. So it's harder these days. So, for most of us, it will be necessary to cultivate quite an intense understanding of it to try and to prepare prepare ourselves as best we may. We need to shine light into the dark on this topic, because otherwise we will have no framework to help us understand when that great and terrible challenge begins. So there's traditional craft is very structured. There is framework within it, but there's also room for creativity, which I love. That is where I brought into my craft Azazel, and I didn't know that Azazel really was associated with traditional craft until I really started to get into it. Until I really decided, okay, traditional Cornish witchcraft is my path, and that's what I will do. So we don't have records of the emotional adjustments that were experienced by witches in early modern Europe, but we can certainly draw on a large body of knowledge that has accumulated around today's witches and how the process of being made affects these witches. So it's really interesting. So I would kind of say that this would be, I'm kind of experiencing more stuff to be forged again. I don't know if that happens more than once, but it's crazy, guys. Alright, so now at the beginning of your journey down the crooked road, you will be gifted with power in various forms. Some will be vital force and some will be fire. Now that's that fire that we talked about, the internal fire from the witch god, the god of the witches. When you receive the full awakening of the beast, not the devil, you will receive more vital force, but fire may also be given to you either by mentor passing you power, that's the passing on of power, or by the insertion of power into the body by spirit beings, or even by being gifted with new spiritual tools in the other world. I love that, because then you get, downloads, those downloads of information that we get, that we channel, boom, right there. I love it. I just love it. So, it should be noted, though, that the process of power gifting is, and dismemberment, death, and rebirth usually happen in quick succession in traditional cultures, but the modern Western ego is a tough nut to crack, and he says, I've never seen it be so quickly resolved in a personal experience. Instead, it will usually begin with a powering up process. This can come from from power gifts, but also the unraveling of fate knots that have previously been blocking power. This will feel very good and very exciting. You may even feel like you are high a lot of the time, and get quite depressed when these power highs hit a slump. It kind of reminds me of mania, the ups and the downs of mania, until you find your equilibrium and your balance in your mind. So it's kind of psychological as well, which I like. So now, it is most important to enjoy this time, as it's a bit like falling in love. It really is, too. This is where you fall in love with the craft, and as such, no other idea should interfere with that enjoyment. In fact, if you are still in this romantic stage of development, it might pay you to skip everything else that has been written here and come back to it when next start to feel a little bit confused, frustrated, or uncertain about what is going on. Because the harsh truth about the power you gain at this time is that it isn't going to stay with you, at least not in the form it currently takes. So, yeah, I'm still falling in love with my craft. I don't think I will stop. I don't know. What about you guys? Alright, so the power injected into you at this stage will function a little like an immunization. So, in that it stimulates the immune system to act against it, causing a healing crisis that strengthens the system in the long run. I've been going through that too, with the, I can feel something, my body fighting something off, but it's not a sickness. But in this case, the immunization is the power gifting but the immune system is the ego. Yeah, the daily self, that you are familiar with. Now, because we associated the ego with words like egotistical, we may think of it as a bad thing, but it most certainly is not. The ego is simply the daily self, and the health of this entity is important. And Carl Jung does, he does cover this topic. It is very important. So the ego, in fact, has its own way of trying to return to the self, to a homeostasis state, when something is put into it that is judged to be other or foreign. So that is how the immune system works too. It fights it off. It reacts in some way against that power. It is this sense of conflict between power that is felt to come from outside the ego, and the ego that generates the healing crisis, known as being made initially once, or one might feel it at the onset, as a as a sense of growing conflict between the daily self that has been crafted over the years of your life and the original self, along with all its fetch powers and things they ask of you. So that is we're still in the realm of familiars, the fetch beast, the daemon lover, etc., so on and so forth. Now, as with anything, there is always variety. Now, in some people, the ego is comparatively weak. These individuals will suffer less, but take longer to reach the point of crisis. Those who possess a very strong ego will need to be hit with a hammer to dislodge it, and will find it far more traumatic. Some of mine have been traumatic, but some of them have not. But on the good side, are likely to make faster progress up to this point and after it. I love it. I absolutely love it. So yeah, it's your ego will totally be destroyed from time to time. Very normal. So for most people, the actual crisis will last some months, and it has. But it could be less or more. It comes and goes, just like the wave, the ebb and the flow, and the tides, and it's like the moon and the ocean and the seasons. So it will be a time of confusion and conflict. So the power that has been put in them will be trying to remake that person entirely, to recreate them as a more suitable vessel. That is, trying to get rid of toxins out of the body, eating healthier, taking care of yourself. Basic self-health care. And mental health care for yourself. So, where did I go? Oh, of course, to the person experiencing this, it feels like the threat of death, and it does too. It's crazy, it's weird, it's scary, a little bit. In fact, it is exactly the same thing that happens at death. Mine is the bodily trauma, usually through physical sickness, is not unheard of. So you do get a little physically sick, and I've been a little physically sick for the past, but it's coming out of it. I'm very much coming out of that. So, it's totally natural that the ego resists it with healthy force. Not only is there the matter of natural fear, but also the pressures of daily life that encourage people to stay as they are and not change. So, again, it comes from a place of anxiety. If you're scared, your mind's going to say no. If it's a new situation, your brain is going to say no. You are going to have a panic attack, you're going to freak out, you're going to flip out, you're going to freak out all over Italy, and you have to do what is your routine, like a routine, to keep you from, freaking out. So, as not to cause anxiety in those around them. I didn't even know that was coming up, but yeah, totally. Now, once this begins, a process has been set into motion that can only end in two ways. One of them is the death of the ego, and that does happen, and the reformation of a self that will be more congenial to future spiritual work. The other is that the person is unable to face this and continues in a long, drawn-out battle that ends with either delusion, ceasing to practice, or unconsciously withdrawing from whatever has become associated with the feeling of discomfort. So that's why a lot of people just, they come in and they're like, oh, I'm scared, I can't do this, and then they back out. So, if you face that fear, like we have to face our fears, we have to face, everything, all of our, animalistic instincts, everything, the negative, all of our mind, like that, keeping a positive mindset 24/7, nah, you've got to experience all of this. It's human nature. So, where did I go? I don't know where I went. Okay. Well, I do not know where I went. Oh, okay, here I am. This is dangerous. High stakes ground, because a half-done making can leave a person very vulnerable and unstable. Assuming that the making comes to a head, one should expect at least one, if not a series of, catastrophic visions or dreams. Oh yeah, those come, and they are insane. So are any of you experiencing anything like this? Now, in the vision, one may envision one's helper taking them apart. You will usually be drawn deeply into the underworld first, dragged under and even swallowed by something. So yeah, it is kind of horrific at first. Your making might occur as a vision of death and resurrection, or rather than a vision, this sensation may go instead over a couple of days, where one is caught in a waking dream. During this time, you might wander around quite unable to function, feeling that you are dying or dead, and that's kind of how I've been feeling like the past, week 2 weeks, a month. But it's, you know, I'm pretty sure it's, yeah, it's but another being forged in fire. So regardless of how this occurs, there will be a final a crescendo, a sense of total surrender and self-sacrifice, possibly a rush of universal love and realizations of one's littleness and the scheme of the universe's unfolding. Yeah, you really do. You really feel humbled. You get humbled big time, and you feel tiny, and you're like, whoa. It's just us, and we are tiny little microscopic things compared to what is out there. So, a rush of love that conquers fear. Love always conquers fear. So, the rush of release will be just as intense as the previous spiritual agony. So, I mean, just ecstatic love. Euphoric love. It's amazing. So, it will feel like a total freedom to be or experience anything you want to, as through total liberation is yours. And it is. It's amazing. Once you get free from all those fetters that bind you and keep you grounded to negativity and the wrong side of thinking, it's a beautiful thing. Now at this point, your fetch and other followers will begin to reconstruct you. They will begin to implant power into you that will stay with you for the rest of your life. Now, as the building of you as a witch will have truly begun. I love that. That is a beautiful excerpt. That is, I mean, there's so much love in there. You can sense the love. You can feel the love. It's like you're just breathing it into all of your pores. Sorry, guys. I love it. It just makes me really happy. So, but yeah, did you guys experience anything like that? Did you guys ever experience anything like this while you are, on your journey, or, whilst you are doing any kind of, work, spiritual work or anything like that? Because it does. There's the crisis, and then you're like, oh, boom, kaboom, here we go. I'm good, and I, filled with love. And that is today. Like today, I feel completely just filled with love, and it's a really good feeling. So, yes. Alright, let's do some coffee talk. But yeah, I really like this. I really love this book. I think you guys should get it. Highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. So that's why it's kind of like, it's... The book itself is structured, but it goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So you can actually go back and you can actually, start reading it from the back. The end of the book. The end of the book. Not backwards, but read, the paragraph or the chapter, and then, go backwards. And it makes sense in that, in going backwards in the whole thing. So it totally makes sense. You can still comprehend, and you can still, kind of, whatever, use your intellect and all of that good stuff for doing all kinds of stuff in your craft. Sorry. Don't tell me I have to prove that it's myself again. I would hope not. Okay, let's see. Come on. Come on. Pop up for me. But yes, I loved that. I read that passage last night, and I just thought I had to get to you guys, and I had to tell you guys about that, and it's so amazing. It really is amazing. Alright, coffee talk. Speaking of coffee, oh, that's good stuff. So yeah, whoever that honestly was, I don't know her real name because she lied about her name and everything, and she had to run away from somebody, and she was always on the run, and she was moving, and people were following her and chasing her, the woman in the chat yesterday. So I don't even really know if that's her real name. I don't know her real name now. I honestly don't know who she is now, because it was just, I don't know. But anyways, it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary when someone like that comes back from your past. It's like, whoa. It's like, where did you come from? Okay. Geo Angel, for real, watch your kids. Thank you. Exactly, Miss Lizzie. Those applauses. Thank you. Seriously, you can't lie about your. I mean, so many people, so many kids on the internet lie about their age and then come into a chat room that's not made for children. So, Miss Lizzie, I love you. Doe, Mr. Lee. Good work, Ryan. Mr. Ryan. Good video. Your room hasn't changed much. No, it hasn't. It hasn't. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Okay, Dark Prince, Mr. Lee. Sorry, Lucy. Good video, Mr. Ryan. Don't worry about it. I'm sending you some heaters to keep you warm. Hope you are good, mate. I am good. How are you doing? Are you doing okay? I need to message you. Yeah, it was crazy. I don't need no heaters. It's already hot. It's too hot. Alright, Melissa, the partial sun. Hi, you. How are the renovations going? Everything is really, 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 really good. Everything is very peaceful, so I'm very, very relieved. I'm terrified of the renovations of the windows. So, electrocute. It's true. I can't keep a positive mindset. I have been judged so hard for it. It's just ridiculous. It is really ridiculous. I love you, my darling. I love you. Soul of Thorns. Hello. Lady Witch. Cindy Miller. Santa Muerte on a Harley, Brent Edwards, Lord Welb, Carolee Lacusta, hi darling, Jay Phoenix, hi my bro, Beetle Depth 3000, Diane Hannon, I love you. I do. Lisa Oaks, I love you, Alexandra Hill, Ava Lagasse, Susie Ziviter, Queen of Negativity, J. Anthony W. I love you guys. So, alright. Time to clean. That one out. So, I hope you guys have a good weekend. Please be safe, stay healthy, do whatever you gotta do to stay healthy, and just stay healthy, please. So, I love you guys with all my heart, all the way from Venus, always, all the way back down. There we go. Alright, I will see you guys tomorrow, and thank you guys for all your comments and everything, and sticking up for me. So, I love you guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow.